Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and a guy that loves his Japanese noisemakers. Incoming random review in 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1338 of our daily content grind. Friday, we took a look at the brand new Transformers Wild King Optimus Prime and Light Long. If you missed that, go check it out. Give yourself a taste of the new toy line out of Japan so you can tell whether or not you want to pay import price on it. Nevertheless, since we did the good guy box set that day, we need to do the bad guy box set today. So we're taking a look at Megatron, our energy master, and Captain Volca, our energy beast. So we'll put Volca aside for now, and we will discuss the Megatron, which, as you can see here, is kind of just existing. Yes, this is the type of tank mode you would expect from the very cheap toys they sell here for Authentics or Cyber Battalion if you want to go back a few years, or name me a kid's toy line. It feels like a large, gimmicky Cyberverse Megatron, right? Because it essentially is. It's something that I'm going to stress every time I talk about this series, just in case you haven't heard it before. This is designed to be a young kid's toy line. Since Earthspark got canceled abruptly, both Takara and Hasbro needed to fill the gap quickly. Simple toy line for kids to just spend a year, just develop, just to bide time. This is Takara's replacement. And it produces a Megatron who is a fairly generic looking tank, who is basically a tank because he has a barrel and treads as part of his design. Otherwise, yes, he very much just looks like a robot folded up into a box. So visually, the tank is not the greatest. I would give Optimus's vehicle mode a pass. This is a little bit more rough. But it is what it is. It serves the purpose, at least, it's a serviceable tank, I guess. One thing I won't take away from it, color scheme is spot on, because you are looking at black, silver, gray, everything I would expect on a Megatron. You get a little bit of silver paint detail up there on the top, on the parts that will be the forearms, obviously. The red trim going through the middle. 2 little red dots of paint right there on the horns of the cannon. Looks better in the robot mode. Don't worry, we'll get there. A little bit of black paint too. A lot of black paint for the treads, actually, because those are molded in the gray. And then beyond that, yeah, nothing for real deco. It's just straight up Megatron grays and blacks. Nothing terribly exciting. I will give it credit for how many 5mm ports you got to work with. Yeesh. So, yeah, so for those who really want to play with this line like it's Lego bricks or something, you got 5mm pegs here, 5mm here, 5mm here. These aren't as useful because there's that weird bridge between them, so only the Energy Beast can really combine onto it. You've got 6 up top, though. You got a ton of guns lying around for your Transformers. If they're thin enough, you can just load them up. Break out that Siege Astro Train. I got a spot for all of those guns to go. So you got that at the very least. Oh, there's 4 more in the back if you really need that, too. If this needs to be a rocket tank for some reason. There's no wheels on it, so don't expect it to roll. It really is just a tank because Megatron has to fold up into a tank. It is not the most exciting thing. Let's get to a more exciting thing. I'll go ahead and transform him for you now. I'll go ahead and remove what will be the horn piece for his combiner modes. Alright, so first off, I'm going to go to the underside and disconnect some things down here. And then let's see here. What do we want to do first? Let's start rotating the legs out so we can get these panels opened up and fold the tread in. Close it back up. Just like that. Now I can fold the leg out properly. Bring it down like this. Hips out like so. Straighten up the legs. And then twist them to get them into the correct position. On the back here, simple enough. I'm going to unpeg the cannon from this side. Go ahead and fold the whole thing over like that. This is 5mm pegged in, by the way, so it doesn't really have to stay in place. You can remove it. You can switch sides on it. I just like to, keep it on position during transformation, just to show that you can do it. Turn the arms to go forward, along with the fists as well. And then that block in the back pushes down to put the head up. And from there, just straighten everything up. Don't pop the connection joints for the combined mode off. And there's your Megatron in his full robot mode. Very simple transformation. Weirdly enough, because the shoulders fold back on him, it's a little Optimus Prime, ironically enough. He does transform just a little bit like Prime, which is kind of weird. The end result here is actually not a bad Megatron, if I'm being honest here. So, yeah, like, he's got the hollowness you would expect out of a gimmick line. Like, you can see huge hollow forearms there. The thighs as well, big hollow gaps in those. But honestly, if you take a look at his proportions, he is puffy because his proportions are going to grow when he combines with Energy Beasts. So they do make him a little bit beefier than standard. But that said, he looks beefy and powerful, which is kind of what I want out of a Megatron. So he's actually not doing too bad here. Oddly enough, this kind of works for him. Like, he should look this beefy. He should look powerful. And he doesn't have any of the oddity going on with his design the way Optimus Prime does. It definitely looks distinct, but it's definitely just a Megatron. He's not doing anything weird like replacing his main color on his chest or anything. And it's not a bad look, honestly. If we bring it in close, that's actually a pretty decent head sculpt. Not going to take that away from the figure. Like, it looks like a decent Megatron. Yeah, he cuts a good profile. Like that's actually a pretty good job. So yeah, detail-wise, still working pretty well here. All those little black patches are doing a good job of breaking up the legs from the ankle all the way to the hip. We got more silver paint here in the lower leg to kind of match the silver that ended up on the back of his fist and the forearm. A little bit of silver also decorates the chest, a little bit of black as well. It's actually not a bad job. Like, design-wise, layout-wise, I actually think I prefer this to the Optimus by a good reach. I even like how he has that door for his combination chest that gives it a little bit more dimension than usual. Megatron is usually very flat-chested. This gives him just a little bit of extra definition and layer, and I am actually into it. So, articulation rundown real quick. The head is ball jointed. You get up and down, left and right, all over. Shoulders are universal. Bicep rotation, 360 degrees. Elbow joint is 90-degree bend. Remember, that bicep is a connection piece for the combinations, so when you're manipulating the lower arm, make sure to push up into that connection point. That way everything stays in place during the changeover. Yeah, and then wrist, thanks to transformation, also has 360 degrees. He doesn't have a waist joint technically. He rotates just below the torso. The hips, universal. Good range of motion there. 90 degrees on the knee, nothing at the ankle. So again, like a lot of simple kids figures, nothing really outstanding in the articulation department. However, because of a few of his traits that he has in his transformation, it does allow him to have just a little bit more articulation than Optimus Prime. So if you're just going for, like, which one of the Energy Masters is going to be the better figure, it's going to be Megatron. But that said, we do need to see him combined. So first, that means I need to bring in his pack-in partner. Alright, time to take a look at Captain Volca. One of the more unique names a Transformer has had in a long time. I will say, the Energy Beasts so far have actually had a lot of really interesting names to them. Like, they are actually very distinct from past characters, which is kind of a refreshing thing. But as you can see, Volca is a very lava-inspired Tyrannosaurus Rex, hence the Volca part of the name. So, yeah, he's got maroon for most of his plastic, but bright red for a lot of his limbs, his head, his tail, etc. Now keep in mind, it's the same base body as Lightlong, with just a few parts remolded in order to get this beast across, which does make it kind of impressive when you consider how many parts they share and how different the two animal modes are, which is actually really cool. You have a little bit of orange painted on to the top to give him the striping that a lot of T-Rexes are depicted with, as well as orange for his nails, because he just came from the salon and he's looking very pretty. You get the painted shield on the back, which we'll be using that later, and a tiny dot of red in the eye, which is not very noticeable thanks to the bright red plastic he is using. The head is about your 1 point of playability on him. His mouth does open, so you have that at least. I mean the tail hinges a little bit, so you can get like a little bit of posability. And yeah, if you break transformation and actually like try and separate his limbs, you might get a little bit out of these legs. But for the most part, yeah, he's just kind of stuck the way he is. Because the thighs are actually being held together by the tail. So you're not getting a whole lot of playability out of the T-Rex mode. He's meant for combination, though. So let's get him to the robot mode and get to that. Well, energy beasts are part formers, right? So all that has to come off. That has to move down. Legs split. Yeah, if you've seen Lightlong's review, this is going to feel very familiar. Going to rotate all that down to create the robot shoulders. For these guys, I'm going to actually flip the shield to the opposite side of the chest. Go ahead and open up the back. Flip out the head like that. Close everything back up. Rotate that, and rotate the waist around. Now, from here you are actually kind of free to play with it. There are official ways of connecting on their additional parts. So if you haven't seen this before, the parts that come off to form the beast usually have these interesting hinged peg systems. So you can fold that down to create a single peg, or the double peg that has one longer peg than the other, which gives you a lot of positions that you can actually connect these with. So just come up with your own combination. I'm not going to bother with any official one. So I'm going to go ahead and yeah, we'll have that hanging down like that. I can technically do the same thing with this. Actually, I can technically do the same thing with this head. However you decide to arrange it, Captain Volca actually looking pretty good. The color combination works, especially, it's all just multiple warm tones, so of course it's going to work. And yeah, he does have a lot of part similarity to Lightlong. All of the energy beasts are going to have part similarity to them. Spoiler alert. But I do like how this one's blocked out. The maroon works, the red is in the right spots, black breaking it up here and there. Little bits of paint for the orange just to make him a little bit more interesting. And interesting is that head sculpt, which does have a lot of personality to it. Like, you're pushing that captain part by that eye patch. He's got that bright red eye in the other side. But look at that grimace. That's actually pretty unique. That's actually rare they include a grimace like that. I even like the shape of his head, his helmet. Like, that all works for me. So yeah, the boy looking pretty unique, all things considered. Don't mind me, I'm playing around with other things. Yeah, that's the nice thing about such a modular system is, like, you get a lot of things you can do with these if you goof around with them long enough. But the thing you're supposed to do is combine them with larger figures. So he does have a leg mode like all of them, but today we'll stick to the arm mode just so you get the idea of what's going on here. And this is going to be fairly familiar to the last time we talked about one of these. So I'm going to fold up the arms again. I'm going to connect the shoulders at the top. If they will stop being stubborn, I will connect the shoulders at the top. There we go. Reconnect the feet. Connect all the all the thighs in there. Fold these legs up. These are going to get in the way, but we can fix that for now, once we get everything combined. But you're going to want those tabs in the lower back to connect into the tabs at the back of the feet. This is going to leave these out ugly. Don't worry about that. Okay, for his part in this, the right arm has to come off. It could be the left. Feeling the right, though. Go ahead and connect the top, what used to be the shoulders, into the actual bicep portion of the toy. Should be a pretty firm peg in. From here, the official is to connect it like so, and then flip out the double peg so that this connects to the top of the fist. Go ahead and fold down the chest. Connect one energy shield like so, and then give him his horns that have been neglected this entire review. And just like that, you have one energy beast combined onto your Megatron in arm mode. Yeah, and it's a pretty appropriate one. Aside from just the fact that it's a much fiercer beast and it makes sense for Megatron to use, it's also just the fact that it's a slight homage to Beast Wars, not only having a T-Rex involved in Megatron, but also the fact that, there's a T-Rex head as a fist here. Or more like an accessory to one, because as we show, the sculpting on these energy beasts does make sure to look like a fist. You can actually, if my focus would cooperate, you could see the thumb that is in there sculpted in to actually look like a hand, which is a really clever use of all the parts and paint. Really like that. It's a very clever touch by Takara. It does make it weird when you can see the fist in the folded up arm mode. It does make that head just sticking off the front of his knuckles look really, really weird. Like he looks like he's wearing some like old kid's decoder ring or something. I gotta fix the focus on this thing. Point being, he does not look bad with this. Now, articulation wise, yeah, you're gonna get a bicep swivel. You're gonna get this using the hips of the energy beast, and you get a rotation there, what would be the wrist. So basically, universal wrist and bicep rotation is what you get. Someone asked me if you could actually use the shoulders as an elbow. Unfortunately, no. The way the shoulders articulate, they are pinned in this position. There's no way for them to bend as long as the connection is made. But speaking of bending elbows, I can rotate these around, bring those up, which is going to make the silhouette look a lot nicer. And if I want the silhouette to look real nice, I can actually go ahead and plug the beast over onto this side, because I like the fist. I don't really like the T-Rex head hanging off the back. That's just weird to me. But like, I like that. So that works for me. And again, it's a very modular toy line, tons of 5mm ports all over. Mess with it how you will, get it to the point where you like it. Now, for the extra parts, I can go ahead and mount Megatron's fusion cannon to his left arm. So at least that has a spot to go. But then you ask what to do with this. Well, if you recall Optimus, he could actually open up the back sides of his legs, and inside there would be a 5mm port to actually attach his spare arm. And Megatron's got that 5mm port as well. See, I can plug it in and snap it like that, and then this is in the this is no okay, no, these two pieces are trying to take up the same physical space, which does not work, and this doesn't fold up far enough for me to actually make it part of his back leg and then close it. Megatron can't do that. Now, something I didn't demonstrate on Optimus, I should have, is that when you want an energy beast to be the leg, you just pop it off below the knee. Now, Megatron will fold out that piece of tread in order to be the front of his foot, because it will form a big foot that he will peg into right there. Then Megatron can store his extra forearms. So if you're going for a 4-beast combination, he can store his forearms away without risk of losing them. Unfortunately, you either just have to, like, put them in a weird spot until then, in this mode, or just put it to the side and hope you don't lose it. But that's pretty much your option there. And that is going to be your Megatron and Captain Volca. As a set, I do like this one better than the Optimus Prime. Megatron suits the aesthetic of the series a lot better. I think the coloration is better. Sorry, Prime. The yellow windows on your chest kind of freaking me out. But the toy itself, the flaw is the tank mode. The tank mode is the big flaw there. But let's be honest, you're getting him for the combination playability, and for that, he is a lot of fun still. And yeah, Captain Volca, maybe not as clever as Light Long, but I do think offers a few more bits of variety in how you can mess with him and arrange him. So there's good and bad here, but overall I think I prefer this set. If you're just going to take one dip into this toy line just to try it out, go for this 2-pack. That's my recommendation. And that's going to be the review for the day. So thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.